Let me first begin by saying thank you to, first, our peaceful protesters, organizations like Black Lives Matter. I want to thank the Richmond Police Department, and I want to thank the Richmond Fire Department as well for the response last night. You know, here in Richmond, our standard for protests is that all groups walk away safe. The protesters having expressed their discontent, and the officers having supported that peaceful expression of their First Amendment rights. That's not what happened last night. As you can clearly see behind me in some of the images, what happened last night was violence. Violence that hurt many people in the Richmond community, both through the threatening of lives and the destruction of property. And simply put, that is unacceptable in the city of Richmond. Unacceptable. There were projectiles that were thrown at police officers, rocks, batteries. A city dump truck was set on fire, and bricks were lobbed at firefighters attempting to extinguish the truck that could have led to a very, very deadly event. And as you heard from the chief's response, in terms of a last resort, the response from the police department was to declare an unlawful assembly and deploy chemical irritants to disperse the crowd. So, after 24 consecutive days of peaceful protests, what changed last night? Let me tell you what I think changed last night. There were white supremacists marching under the banner of Black Lives Matter, attempting to undermine an otherwise overwhelmingly peaceful movement towards social justice. We've spoken on many occasions about those who've chosen a more violent route to express their discontent and what that does for the overall movement towards social justice. Last night, that bared its ugly head right here in the city of Richmond. So, to me, it's no coincidence that after 24 days of peaceful protests, we saw some violent actions, violent protests spearheaded by white supremacists. And frankly, it was disgusting. Disgusting. As they held plywood shields that read, BLM, these folks toured areas of downtown, the Fan, breaking windows, tagging private property with hateful language. Again, unacceptable. Their mission is simple: to undermine the month of peace, community-driven protests that the city has seen. It's not the Richmond we know. That's not the Richmond we know. What we saw last night undermines the work that the community has been doing over the course of the last few months, undermines events like violent vigils or events as we saw recently, the group or city coming together as a community saying goodbye to racist monuments like Stonewall Jackson. That's the sort of gathering we've seen over the last month here in Richmond. Not violence. Last night shows that the real hate comes from the racism that is still very much alive in our Commonwealth. And some have used this moment to still express that hate. Again, unacceptable. So let me extend some well-deserved grace, an element far too often left out of the conversation during a time of tension and trouble. As I began with, I want to extend thanks to the BLM protesters on the ground who decried the white supremacists once they were identified. I'm thankful to you for drawing the line and sticking up not just for the sanctity of your movement, but also the safety of your fellow Richmonders that you march alongside as well. I'm thankful to the officers who were on duty last night for contending with the change and expectations for them. Change is always hard, but now it is the time for that change. And if you're on our team, You know that. And lastly, I'm thankful for our city. The city I love, the city I know so many other people love as well. You have ensured that nights of violent vigils and basketball games are far more common than the mess we saw last night. Those nights express or demonstrate and exhibit the best that we see in Richmond, where we want to go as a community. Last night takes us more steps backwards. It takes us backwards. The people who have nonviolently, peacefully gathered over the past month, they are the reason for the changes that our community desires and direction we're moving in. The demonstration last night, the violence last night, takes us backwards. And that's the honest truth. I know this community because I know this community wants unity. This community wants peace. This community wants justice. And I want you to know we will bring to justice those individuals who chose to destroy property and incite violence. That is our commitment to the community. There were arrests made last night. But there'll be further investigations to ensure we arrest more individuals. That's our commitment to this community. So with that, we'll take a few questions.